it's been cut out, it disappears. So we have the existing ground meeting the platform, what we call the formed contours, formation contours, the platform itself, which I think I've drawn a little bit drunk, but let's call that even, and then the batter slope over here on fill. And that joins up with the existing ground. Right, let me explain about a certain, usually a man in the office. He looks a bit like me, he's a bit scruffy, bit of a beard, not particularly popular, usually sitting in another corner somewhere. The reason why he is not popular, could be a she with a beard I suppose, but anyway, is because they stuff up your design. So a geotechnical engineer spends all day looking at dirt and rocks and deciding things like what should that batter slope be. I'm not belittling their job, I'm just saying they are the ones that dictate what that'll be. Now in Auckland, we mostly have, I think it's called Titirangi clay. Some people call it Onehunga clay. It's a clay substance that tends to have characteristics whereby we can go 1-to-1 on our slope if it's cut, and 1-to-2 on our slope if it's fill. Now the first number is always the vertical. So 1-to-1 slope going up that way, if we were doing a triangle, it would be 1 that way and 1 that way, okay? Now, it's not inconceivable for that to be a 1/2 by a 1/2, or 2 by 2, or 3 by 3, or 4 by 4. So think of it like that. That is only a proportion. It's not necessarily 1 metre that way and 1 metre that way. It could be 2 metres and 2 metres. So if you think like that, you're halfway to solving this.
It's like ratio, right?
It's a ratio, yeah. In fact, I'll put the word ratio there. That makes it a little bit easier to understand it. So the geotechnical engineer comes up with a ratio. The good thing about that is they normally don't change that for the job. They might if you go through conglomerate rock or some sedimentary based rock of some sort, or sand or whatever, but generally if you're in an area of that clay, generally the design won't change. Road design's different. The buggers come out of their desk, they walk over, they contemplate it for weeks. You do a road, you balance the cut and fill, you're all ready to go, and they walk out and go, and I changed your mind for that bit of road, right? You know, it's got to be this, it's got to be that, and because they're doing boreholes all the way along the road, and so they come up with different numbers. Generally speaking, this 1-to-2 means 2 along and 1 down. But once again, a ratio. Yeah. So we're going to look at this platform and plan view, which is how we do our original design. And so I'm going to kind of do a bit of a roughie on the board. Now bear in mind, this isn't a CAD drawing. This is just some existing contours. Doesn't really matter how they sort of go. Let's put some numbers by them. 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, that's enough. So you can see that that's the top of the bank at 26 metres above sea level, and it's dropped down to 15 metres above sea level in plan view. We'll do the platform in plan view. Let's put the platform, say here. Once again, it's a bit drunk. We shouldn't really be doing that. try getting it less drunk. Okay. Now, first area I like to do is the area of cut. It's usually the easiest, and most people can relate to a ratio of 1:1 very easily. So if we were to take contours off this platform going uphill, in plan view we're going to go along one and up one for each contour, along one and up one. Sorry, this is at a level of 20.0, right? Now I need a little scale bar here, so let's do a scale bar. Let's make that a meter. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. It's just so I can sort of measure what a meter is. An AutoCAD, obviously, you can already measure a meter. So I'm going to do an offset of a meter around here, the cut area. This is cut, this is fill. And I'm doing a nice even meter around here. See what I mean by an even contour in plan view? It sticks out a mile, that it's a man-made thing. And for the sake of that, I'd better label these. So let's label them. We're going uphill, so 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, might even be a 26 here, so we'll put a 26 down there. Where is the contours, where's the design contours going to hit the platform? Okay, be like that, half a mark. Sorry, level 20, 100%. Well done, sir. What's your name? Abdul. You have just gained yourself a half a mark on the first assignment. There's two things. You need to email me before 12 o'clock tonight, or you use it or lose it, okay? I can see you frantically looking at my email right now. Secondly, I'm watching you now and I'm marking, all right? I'm watching you for good reasons, yeah. Okay, well done, Abdul. So at that point there, and at this point over here, is where the cut is going to meet it starts off meeting the ground and ends up meeting the platform at 20. Now we have to draw what I call the butterfly wing on. I'm the only lecturer in the whole country that calls it a butterfly wing. I'll show you why shortly. And you end up calling it that yourself. The real name is the cut, the area of cut, or the batter slope or formation area of cut. And the real name for what I'm about to draw is the top of the cut, which is this part here, where it touches the ground. Okay? Yeah, I know, butterfly wing's easier. You'll see why in a minute. 21. Where the 21 comes in and meets the design 21. 22, where it meets the design 22. Remember, we've labelled these design numbers. Where the 23 comes in and meets the 23. Where the 24 comes in and meets the 24. Where the 25 meets the 25. Notice it meets it on that side too. We don't hit the 26. Almost. The 24 hits the 24. at that point there. 22 hits the 23 hits the 23 there. 22 hits the 22 over there, and 21 there. So there's our area of cut. And we use a little bit of drafting license and go around there and bring it back in to here. That is called the top of cut. Please label that on your assignment. What you don't need is all these lines here, so the labels now are going to go here, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So those ground lines underneath here do not exist anymore. Neither do these design lines outside of there. So that goes, that goes, that goes, that goes, that goes, that goes. We're getting a nice black finger. So the contour comes in, it goes around, and it comes out the other side. It comes in, goes around, and it comes out the other side. Goes in from the ground, comes in checkered, and comes out the other side, and that contours the ground line and remains the same. Pretty pathetic butterfly wing, but that's what the butterfly wing is. Let's start doing the other side. This time it's 2 to 1. So how much is the offset going to be in plan view? Oh, you're waiting for me to say another half mark, aren't you? It's not going to be 1 because it's a steeper slope, so it's going to be looking down on it 2. God, talk about waiting for a mark.
So it'll be like 18 and 6.
So it'll be 2, an offset up here will be 2. So I'll be using that distance there, rough. It's very rough on the board. You do it accurately on AutoCAD. So that we're going downhill now, so this will be 19, 18, 17. I think we're going to probably also have to do a 16, maybe even a 15. So when we come from here, the next one is going to be 19, which is there, coming up there, then 20, down to there, 21 is going to be there, that one's going to be there, that one's going to be there, so it's going to come down. Up here, it's going to be 19, 18, 16, 17, sorry, 16, 15, coming down like that. And I would suggest that the whole butterfly wing here is going to go right around like that. Which looks like a bottle of wine really when you look sideways, but no, it also is a very disjointed, very weird butterfly, which has got a very big wing and a very short wing. So we won't go into making fun of people or butterflies that are handicapped. I think what we're better off saying is that he's flying into the sun and he's got one of his wings bent to stop himself from getting sun. That's more logical, okay? It's never actually done that before in my demonstrations. Normally it's about twice the size. Warning on your assignment, you got a few issues. You got a tree down here and you got a pond down here. And if your earthwork starts stretching down to that, you've got major engineering problems, especially in terms of environmental ones. There's still a few more things you need to put on your proposed plan. First of all, we still need to get rid of all these ground line contours underneath. So once you work them all out and send them through to me on your proposed plan, when you're doing your design plan, or sorry, on your existing plan, when you're doing your design plan, you need to delete them from underneath, all right? Be more contours here, 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 and so forth. So one way of stopping them from hitting the tree is to put in a retaining wall, and it may be that if you've got a pond down here, you may also need to put a retaining wall in to stop it from going into the wetlands. Not your job to design it, but it is your job to bring it up to a structural engineer to come up with something there. Environmental engineer if you make a decision to try and get rid of the tree. Alright. Nothing, I don't think, on the hillside of things. The other thing to think about is there is a pipe going underneath, and it sort of goes something like this. Don't know exactly. Be very aware of that distance there, because there's a building going on there. You don't want to put a pipe in and crush it. So there may need to be a note there saying structural engineer to check on that distance.
Well, then wouldn't you move the platform so you're not over the pipe?
Yeah, in the real world they do things like that in the early part of the design. Yeah. I mean, there could be a real reason for the platform being there. It might be that there's a little bridge across the wetlands for students to get to it. There could already be a path down to that point, or a road. What are we doing? A caretaker's hut or a storage hut or something? There might already be a little path down there that they want to do it there. They don't want it over on the other side, or the roadworks gets harder. But yeah, yeah, and you could raise the platform or lower it to make less earthworks. You know, there's a lot of things you can do. The old geotechnical engineer at the back of the office could wake up and come and destroy you by saying, change my mind, make it 1 to 3, and then it all ends up in the pond.
Yeah, because if you look at that now, you've got a bigger amount of fall than what you're going to cut out of there.
Yes.
So there's going to be a lot of import on that.
Yes, more notes for your drawings. Exactly. We talk about that a little bit more in a few more weeks' time. Because there's a lot of fill to come on site, we're talking about a lot of trucks, and you're not allowed to bring, especially where there's wetlands, and also the iwi have quite a bit to do with this site as well, because this land was all donated by them for educational purposes. So that in its own, a storage shed for the Concentrix building or whatever is not necessarily something they might approve. They might approve a tractor for keeping the grounds okay, or a lecture theatre, but they may not approve something like that, because that's a privately owned business over there. And getting back to what you said, yeah, you've got to go a long way to get what they call approved engineer fill. So there's 2 or 3 quarries in Auckland you can buy it from. They're all a similar price. It's very expensive. They can't stop you using good fill from at Unitec, because you've dug it from Unitec, right? You're just swapping it around, cut and fill. Same with cut. Cut's worse, because if you've got to get rid of it off site, in the winter time, there's very few places you can dump it. It's wet, the wheels on your truck are wet, the farms are wet. You know what Auckland's been like the last 10 weeks, rain, rain, rain. You can't, you know, they just shut the gates. Summertime, open the gates, fill, anything, give us, Yeah, fill up my holes on my farm and make it perfect, fine. But when it comes to winter, bugger off. Don't want any of you guys in here. Last time you had to wake me up at 6 in the morning and get my tractor out to pull you out of the muck. Yeah, so there are more, as a site engineer, you get those problems all the time, all right? So they're just, look, some of you are looking at me like, well, you know, we're only in our first year of engineering and you're talking like we've been around for 10 years, but I guess one of the big thing about engineering is you have to think about every job laterally, what could be a problem, you know? I could tell you right now that the biggest problem is all the vehicles are going to come in gate 4. And there's enough damn vehicles coming in there with students and teachers at 8 o'clock in the morning with our big trucks and all sorts of other things coming in there, all the site guys. And then you've got spook echoes coming over to have a look that you're supposed to protect. So you need to find mesh to stop that. They can fly in anyway. If it's their nesting spot, you've got an issue. And then there's nosy engineering students who see a sign saying students keep away, and they'll go, oh, that's an invitation to go and have a good look at what's going on, right? And there'll be deep holes and there'll be other things too that you've got to stop. Siltation running off into the bank and keeping the water purified, etc. But as far as my drawings go, when you put the batter slope symbols on here, what is the batter slope symbol? It looks like this. And it indicates that there's a slope going down. So where would we put it? We would put it here and we'd put it there. All right? So the top of the cut, so it would look like this. It's a little one, and it looks a bit like, you know what a sloth is? It's got 2 fingers, 2 nails basically, or 2 fingers. And it looks like a sloth leaning over a bank with a big nose. So we put that sloth indicator here, and we have a little distance apart, like that. Now, where does it go on the fill? It goes at the top of the platform, the edge of the platform. So it goes along here. What we do in CAD is we make up a little symbol and we just make it go around the building. Take that butterfly thing out, you don't really want that on your photos. So the top of the bank for the cut and around here for the fill. This is not called the bottom of the bank, it's called the toe of the fill. The reason is we refer to slips as the toe or the top when they're doing slip design.
I suppose you want us to label that as well in the assignment, Roger?
As in, yes,
Toe fill.
toe fill, everything you see written here,
Okay.
give it a label. I know it's a little bit rough, but I'm sure you do nice even labels on AutoCAD. Now, I'm not just going to leave it as that. I've got a CAD one, and I'm just, of course, nothing's easy. I'm going to make it a little bit more difficult. I want you to do, basically do what I did there, except, drum roll, let's have a look at it. And this is the last exercise for the day. And after that you can leave or carry on with your assignment or whatever.